Hey guys, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Miska.
Welcome to Overwatch Central. So let's say we're in a ranked game together and I turn to you and say, what hero do you want to play? You'd be almost tempted to say, I can play anything. I can play whatever the team needs. It's an answer which shows that you're flexible and that you can adapt to situations. But is it really a good answer? Well, that remains to be seen. In ranked play, I've ran into a lot of players that have done this, picked up an important hero to sort of fill a slot almost on a whim and underperform in that situation. Most players would try and describe themselves as a flex, but what does that exactly mean? What should flex players be aiming to do? And will this mentality cause issues down the line?
A flex player in its most simplistic description are the players at pro level that can play a multitude of heroes at a consistently high level. We'll bring up examples of pro flex players in just a second, but generally we feel that playing flex isn't necessarily the same as filling. On that subject, filling shouldn't really be done if you can avoid it. The reason we use the example at the start of the video of what hero do you want to play is because there should always be a clear answer. We all gravitate to some heroes more than others to some degree. It's a natural thing to do. Having a main though can always cause issues in Overwatch, but ultimately we all have heroes we play more and thus are much better at and much more comfortable on compared to others, especially in a ranked environment. So if we asked you what hero do you want to play, be honest. If you're more comfortable on a DPS, say so. The reason as to why this question gets asked a lot in a ranked environment is an attempt to min-max and manage the team's composition in an effort to make sure everyone can bring their A game.
The what hero do you want to play scenario actually happened with me in a game for Season 2. We asked our final person what he wanted to play with the last slot to still fill up. We only had one support, so most would hint at grabbing another one. This guy said I could pretty much play anything, so of course we asked him to play another support and he chose Zenyatta. Whilst he wasn't the sole reason why we lost, it's fair to say that he did do as good as he could have done. After the game I checked his career profile and he had about 3 to 4 hours at least on some of the tank heroes and 20 minutes on Zenyatta. Had this guy said something along the lines of actually I prefer to play a tank, we could have easily worked around the team, but because he didn't, we played almost at a disadvantage here. Whilst being flexible and adaptable is super important in Overwatch, stretching yourself too thin across a multitude of heroes is going to hamper your progression in ranked. You can be a jack of all trades, but you won't master any of them.
It really all comes down to this. Flex players such as Sebasai, Unfixed and even Tweak are amazing across a multitude of heroes. For us plebs in ranked, we just won't be able to replicate that level of consistency across that same amount of flare heroes like these guys can. You want 3 to 4 options when it comes to heroes you can play effectively, but you should always be leaning more towards performing a role and a function. Nobody can play all the heroes to the same level in ranked, and that is what makes these pro flex players the pro flex players. Ryan did a video the other day going over how he focused and changed up his playstyle in ranked by playing basically just tanks, and from doing that he climbed 400 SR in the last 3 days of Season 2. So when somebody asks you on your team, what do you want to play? Have an answer ready. For example, I would say, I'd prefer to be on the Sari if possible, but can also play Genji pretty well too. And Ryan would probably say that he'd prefer to be on the Reinhardt, but if not, he'll off-tank or Lucio. With this information, your team can set up the best composition possible and play to their strengths. This is incredibly important in ranked, and even more important if you're playing with a pre-made party of maybe 3 to 6 people. This is when you really need to nail down your composition, because if you don't, the enemy will and you will lose. So all in all, you can't just play anything and you can't just fill for your team.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you're understanding the point that we're trying to convey here. Changing heroes to try and counter and adapt to the game is fine, but when you're leaving the spawn for the first time, you want to make sure that your team is as good as it possibly can be. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, take care, we'll see you then.